Good afternoon. Welcome to the RSSN podcast, your dedicated aftercare community with personalized one-on-one meetings, daily group sessions, and a 24/7 online community connection. We're here to support you every step of the way. Good afternoon, Tobe. Hey, it's great to have you here. Thanks for being on the podcast. Really
Absolutely.
excited for you to be here.
Thanks, Daniel, for the invite. Pleasure to join you. Why the heck not? All the things there is to do. Let's spend some time together.
Absolutely. Well, that's exactly what we're going to do. We'll just spend some time together and get to know each other. I mean, I know I've been able to get to know you just recently over the past few months, and you've been a huge part of the RSSN network already, and you've already been participating in our meetings and our online community. And I just feel blessed and so fortunate to have met you and that you are a part of what we're doing here. And one of the things I just wanted to kind of kick it off with is that if you could just first tell us how you were introduced to Remote Sober Support Network, RSSN, and what really attracted you to our network.
Yeah, great question. To be honest, I don't know. Like I'm online all the time, right? I'm a coach. I'm a virtual coach, and I started seeing ads popping up for this RSSN group, and I mean, you guys were doing a great job just starting to share your story. I believe it was you guys were in launch mode here, and you're trying to connect. One of my gifts is connection. So I'm constantly trying to find out who's doing what and can I get them paired up together? Because when great people step in the room together, amazing things happen. And so when I learned of RSSN and started discovering a little bit more about what it is that you guys are doing, I just knocked on the door. I mean, I reached out through, I believe it was LinkedIn. Connected with Jill, and she shared your story, and then you and I got to talk a little bit, and I've been just drawn into the meetings, both sober and family side here for the last 3 months, and it's been amazing just to see and experience the power of I think relationship done well, done with intentionality. It's been really fun and really helpful to just grow close to you guys.
Yeah, no, it's been amazing. I mean, I've just really enjoyed getting to know you through the meetings, one-on-one, and just, it's like I said, you've added a lot to our network. And I know for me, I've been sober 16 years. It was definitely a rough road for me in my recovery before I found success in my recovery. And I just really had a hard time, really committing to getting sober and staying sober. But I knew that it was definitely something I needed to do. And I'm so grateful that I was able to find success in my recovery. And I would just like, for the viewers and the people watching this to get a little insight into your story and how what sobriety and recovery means to you and where that started for you and what are some of the struggles that you went through that kind of prompted that?
Good question. To share my story is probably requires that I back up to the early days, just to kind of preview. My parents, I was raised in a home where all I knew was Sunday morning church and Wednesday night church. And I started trying to understand, well, why is this important to them? Well, I'd come to learn that, they lived a little crazy back in the day. I mean, in their 20s and early 30s, they were indulging in all sorts of fun things. Right. And, I wouldn't call them hippies, but I wouldn't call them living clean either. Right. And so, they actually got saved in their late 20s and decided that they were going to raise their family in church. And so I was a young, one of 5 boys, all under the age of 7. So that was kind of a little bit of a crazy environment growing up, but mom and dad believed it was important to raise us in the church. And so that was my young life. But by the time, I hit adolescence, I'm attracted to certain groups of people, and I'm seeing that, man, drinking and drugs and things. I mean, that's something you do when you start turning a corner. You start becoming a man, And so I was attracted to that. I was drawn to that, and started dabbling in, different substance and alcohol, and I didn't think anything of it. I knew it wasn't right, but man, everyone's doing it, right? And so that was just sort of casually part of my life. I wouldn't say that it got a hold of me as a young man. In fact, when I graduated high school, I left my hometown. I left everything behind. I left, the booze behind, went off to college, and sort of recommitted my life to Jesus at that time, and went to Bible college, and I'm going to be a teacher. I'm going to be a business leader. I might be a pastor. I don't know. I'm studying everything. I mean, I had fun. College was a fun chapter of life for me. And I got into a lot of different classes, a lot of different activities. I met now my wife of near 20 years in college. We were drawn to each other. We started serving together, and we were married. And I'll tell you what, after we got married, hot summer days, doing some construction. And at the time I started bringing some beers home. Why not? I'm a man. I'm making my wage. I'm paying my home. I'm putting some beer in my fridge. And so, I started slowly introducing alcohol into our adult life, and we found friends who also enjoyed it. And I became, a social drinker. I wasn't hooked. It didn't have its grip on me at that time, but it slowly just kind of crept into life. Right. Fast forward about 15 years, that slow, steady social drinking kind of experience, it's actually celebrated, I think, in business. And so as I was climbing ladders, I was increasing the alcohol content, in the beverage, and sort of as a badge of honor, started drinking hard stuff. And I turned it into a game a little bit, and I got really good at it, as I'd like to say. I won it, and I had to retire early. I mean, I found myself not drinking just on the weekends or in the evenings, but it started sneaking into my life midday. It was nothing to pour a drink before noon. I mean, everyone does that, right? I didn't realize that I had a problem. And I think that it says a lot about my wife, who stood beside me, who loved me through everything. I mean, through even this foolishness that I was wrapped up in. She didn't get taken by the bottle in the way that I did. She was able to shut it off and just kind of be present. And, when friends were going to enjoy a drink, we might enjoy one with them, but I was sneaking them in between, and I started hiding bottles, and it became a part of my life. And, maybe to put bookends on this a little bit, I just recall it was a summer evening. We're at the house, home from worked real hard. I deserve another drink because, man, I'm doing it right. I'm probably 2 or 3 drinks in on a Monday night, which wasn't uncommon at the time. But I just paused, and I remember looking up, and I asked my wife. I said, "Hey," "is this a problem?" And Daniel, she teared up. She started to tear up, and she said, You're not cheating. You're not abusing. You're not hitting. You're not mistreating. You're not embezzling. Like, you're not misbehaving. But man, you drink a lot. Like, I wish that you wouldn't. And something inside me broke. I thought, how can I do this to my family? We have 3 kids by this time, right? and my children aren't babies anymore. They're starting to hit some teen years, and I'm realizing I'm misbehaving. And I think the Lord just convicted my heart. I'm like, how can I do this? And frankly, it took a couple months to start to live a dry life, but we've decided that it's just not going to be part of our life any longer. So it's not in the house. It's not when we go out. And it was hard for a little while, but I can say now that, I'm a recovered alcoholic, and it's not part of my life anymore.
I really appreciate you sharing that and being so honest about your story and opening up that way. I mean, I when you were talking, I could relate to so much of your story, or at least different parts of your story. I mean, I definitely had a different journey. It started a lot earlier for me in my life. But when you talk about your wife, standing beside you and walking through this with you. I mean, my wife did the same thing. I mean, I relapsed. I met my wife when we were sober, or when I was sober. I met my wife, and then in our marriage, when we had our first two boys, my oldest was 3, and Dylan, my second oldest, was 6 months old. I had a relapse, and my wife, she put her foot down and she said, "You're not coming home, and you need to go get help. And I'm not doing this with you anymore." And so I had to make a decision, and I already knew, because I had already had about 5 years of sobriety at that point when I relapsed, and I already knew that I really loved being sober. But we had moved, and I had moved away from my support system in Los Angeles, and I never reestablished a recovery support system for myself in where we moved to. And so I thought I was good. I thought I was good to go. I had been sober for nearly 5 years, and I thought, hey, I'm better now. And that was not the case at all. I mean, I found myself not really. It's so important in my life to be reminded that I'm an addict and I'm an alcoholic, and to constantly be reminded of that, and that I need to stay connected to other people that are just like me. And I really lost that. So I had a weak moment, and I relapsed, and then it just kind of got worse from there. And so I eventually, got sober again, and shortly after that. But I so relate to your story, and having kids, and wanting to. I just didn't want to let them down. I didn't want to let them down as their father, and I really wanted to be there for them. But I really appreciate you sharing that part of your story, and it's not always easy to just open up and talk about that, but it's so important. I know in my recovery to open up and be vulnerable in that way. So, Toby, it's great having you on, though, and I mean, it's been really great getting to know you, and I just what I really love about you is that you're just very sincere and open about what you share, and what you talk about, and where you come from. So can you kind of give us a little bit of background too about your coaching and that part of your life, and what kind of coach you are, and how you work with other people?
Yeah, glad to do that. It wasn't part of my strategic plan to become a coach, especially a virtual coach. I never thought that could work. I've had a rather, varied background, a pretty wide breadth work history. And as my wife and I now have ventured through good times and hard times, and sickness and health, and sobriety and drunken stupor, we've been in a lot of different places together over the years. I mean, contracting for so many years. I was in food service, the orthopedic sector. I've been in insurance, fundraising, farming. I became a college prof and got to teach for a few years and loved that. And it was through that journey that I began to just see life through a different lens. I think, when you get to stand in so many different places and do so many different jobs, stand with different leaders for different chapters of life. I was a recipient of some amazing coaching by some individuals over the years. I've always had a mentor or a coach in my life. And as I was receiving really, really sound counsel and good coaching, I was inspired by a book that I had read called The Dream Manager by Matthew Kelly. And I thought, man, they talk about this thing like this dream manager, like being a real job, like somebody gets to talk to other people about their dreams and help them build them. Like, hey, that sounds really cool. It's a fun story. About 8 years after reading the book, I ran into a gentleman in our community, and he said, "Hey, I've been watching you from a distance, and I think that you have what it takes to be a dream manager. I want you to read this book and consider joining our company." It's like, read it. Dude, I give it away as gifts to people. I love it. Like, I mean, you want me to be that guy? He said, I want you to be that guy. So I got certified in Matthew Kelly's Dream Manager program, and I got to work with some really sharp individuals for about 18 months, helping them build their dreams. I had been doing it like back of the napkin coaching for at least a decade, but now I was doing it officially as a certified coach. And they went through a sale, and they did a reorg, and honest to goodness, I found myself on my butt. Like, they were like, well, we've got a new strategic plan, new direction, and dreaming is not part of it. Like, you lost the dream. How do you do that? And so I was let go on a Friday afternoon, and I'd never been let go before. I've always made the decision it's time to go, and I wasn't ready to go, but the company was moving on a different direction. And I felt defeated a little bit. I felt rejected, right? I mean, some of those feelings, they creep in. Those are real. And I remember Monday morning, after I'm sitting in the armchair in our hearth room, 2 cups of coffee, kids are off to school. I remember my wife came by before she left for work, and she sat down in the chair next to me. And I mean, I had my quiet time. I'm sitting there just contemplating. I'm trying to figure out what's today going to look like. And she sits down and said, "What are you going to do?" Man, I just started to cry. I was like, I don't know. I said, "Jackie, I don't know. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Do I put the tool belt back on? Do we go buy more pigs? Do I, go back and jump back into, the insurance space?" And I said, "What do you think?" And she said, "Tobe, you're supposed to coach." I said, "You're supposed to coach others. You got the certification. When you coach people, lights come on." I mean, in 18 months that I had been coaching others, we've seen dream homes, we've seen dream jobs, we saw restored marriages. I mean, people had dreams that were just crazy, like out of this world at times. One gentleman wanted to work remotely, different country every month for a year. And we found a program, and happy to say he's working remote. Jackie said, "You're supposed to coach." And so I told her, I said, "Well, that's going to require that we hit the reset button. I mean, we're going to start over. We're going to hang a shingle and do this from scratch." And she said, "If that's what it is, let's do it." And so we launched Dream Again Life Coaching. And as a certified dream manager, I get the pleasure of coaching people virtually through all of that life throws at them. And I want to know, what's your dream? What do you want to see done? What do you want to accomplish? 1, 3, 5, 10 years and beyond. And I get the pleasure of working with people from, I'd say college age through well after retirement. Some of my favorite clients today are, I'm going to say, they're between 60 and 75 years old. I mean, unbelievable. They've got time, they've got capacity, they got desire for things in life. And it's sweet walking beside them and seeing them achieve some pretty phenomenal dreams. So that's what I do 9 to 5. I'm a life coach. But I have moved on to get some other certifications. Most recently, certified Symbis marriage mentor. So I facilitate a marriage tool, and my wife and we've done premarital coaching with couples for about 6 years. She works at the college here in town, and so we've got college students over all the time. And I've been leading through some marriage mentoring with her and officiating weddings. I've got a .com ordination. Don't tell anybody, but it gives me the pleasure of not only walking through all of the hard issues in a biblically based marriage mentoring program. But then I get to stand before this couple and their families and lead them through, their marriage vows and make sure that they're committed in a covenant that says, hey, even if I start misbehaving, you ain't walking. Like, we're in this without question. There's no going back. And that's been a joy too. That's been part of our story for the last couple of years.
That's great. That's amazing. When you're talking about all that and you're sharing about your story, I relate to that too. There's in 2009, 2010, right around the recession, I know we hit hard times, and we went through some serious struggles as a family, and it was lost our business. What are we going to do next? And had no idea. I mean, at that point, just fear, just came over me, and what just what are we going to do? And so it was time to make a change. And I mean, when you talk about your wife, kind of being there for you and talking to you and working through it with you, I mean, it was the same kind of thing with my wife. And I remember I just had to go back to working odd jobs. And I mean, I back in the day, I used to detail cars, and when I first got sober. And so I started, asking people if I could wash their cars. I had like little gardening jobs on the side. I mean, whatever I could do to make a little bit of money and put food on the table. Cause at that point we had 2 boys. Now we have 4 boys, but, and it was just, survival time. It was, and I really had no clue on what I wanted to do, but I knew that I kind of knew in my heart that I wanted to do something different than what I was doing. And I remember we went to, my wife and I were in church, and we were listening to these missionaries speak. And when I was listening to them speak, I felt their conviction for what they were doing. And it wasn't like I wanted to do what they were doing, but I latched on to like that they were helping other people, and they had conviction behind it, and you could tell they were just filled up, and I'm like, within me, I'm like, that's what I want to do. I want to help people. And if I'm going to help someone, I mean, I knew for me, helping someone was in recovery, because I had struggled getting sober for so many years. And I honestly thought I would never get sober. I never thought I would get sober and stay sober. That just wasn't in the cards for me. So the fact that I was able to do that and come through it, I was like, I want to help someone else, achieve that. And so when we left church, I told my wife, Jill, I said, I know what I want to do. I don't know what it means for our life or where we're going to end up, but I told her, I want to help people, and that's what I want to do. So, and it was just on my heart to do that. And so from that point on, I, really committed my life to working with others in recovery, and that was other men in recovery. And I've been doing it ever since. And I absolutely love my sobriety. I love being a sober man. I love, and I love helping others as well. And the thing about it is it never feels like work, because all I'm doing when in my recovery is I'm relating to others. I'm relating my story, what I went through, my struggles. And when I hear someone else and what they're going through or what they're struggling with, I can relate to them. And then when I'm relating to them, at the same time, it's making my recovery that much stronger, because I get to give back what was given to me. And so I absolutely, fell in love with my recovery. And then I really fell in love with helping other men in their recovery, and just to be able to play that small part in helping someone else and being there for someone else, because I truly believe that getting out of self and not being self-consumed is truly where I find my happiness, and it's a good place to be. So you were talking about, working remotely. I mean, for me personally, I never really believed in, Zoom or, working remotely
Right.
or Zoom meetings or any of that. I mean, I was the guy that if there was anything related to Zoom or being on screen, my video was off. I did not want to be on video. I'll listen. I'll maybe say a few things, but this isn't for me. But I have to say, since we've started RSSN, Remote Sober Support Network, it's been unbelievable. I mean, I have been able to connect with so many people, and I've watched other people connect with each other. You being one of those people that I've connected with, and already feel close to you. We've never met in person. I look
Right.
forward to
Right.
the day that we do meet in person. But the whole remote I mean, we live across the country from each other, but
Right.
it's still it's building relationships. And sometimes I feel like you can even build maybe not like a better relationship, but you can feel comfortable in your own home or wherever you are, in a meeting, because we have our 5 daily meetings on RSSN, and they're 40 and 20-minute meetings, and we all get on there together and we can connect to each other. It's not an AA meeting. It's not structured the same way, but we have all been able to develop these relationships with each other on there. And honestly, it's been a very big surprise to me, like how much I've really taken to it. And I just wanted to kind of get your take on what that experience has been like for you since you've been on, the meetings on RSSN, and also maybe we can talk about the online community, which is on Slack that we use for that. So that'd be great.
Yeah, I will comment on that. I want to back up one other
Yeah.
thing that you said that I want to celebrate. When you observed, as you said, the posture of, that missionary couple, and you're like, man, they're all in, like they're resolved on something. Like, where's that at? How come that's missing? Right. I mean, like so many people, I think, go through that very feeling, but so very few are willing to then walk through that door and like begin to pursue something. Because why? Because the W-2 is pretty dang comfortable. The 401k is being matched. I mean, I don't want to disrupt that. Right. And so I think some people will put their head down and they'll just do the drudgery and they'll just walk and they'll lift it up 20 years, 30 years later and say, well, what the heck? How did I get here? I'm like, well, you put your head down, you got to pick it up. So the fact that you're willing to like, we're going to pivot, we're going to do something different, and you found it here, that's great. I think for those who aren't finding that currently in work, man, how can you volunteer? How can you serve others? What is that passion that you need to lean into? And what avenue can you find it? I'm not saying leave your job. You might need to, but don't leave your job yet. Maybe there's something else that somebody can lean into, right? And find some of that passion. So go serve others. I mean, it happens when you serve others.
Well, yeah. Can I say something too about that, Toby? I'm glad you kind of circled back to that, because you hear that voice saying, hey, go help others, and then you can easily squash that voice, which I've done in the past. And I know what you're talking about. There's like two voices speaking to you, and I finally listened to that voice, because there's other voices saying, oh, you're good at this, you're good at that, you should do this, you shouldn't do that. And then it was like, no, like that is not what I'm supposed to do. And I truly, just to touch on that again, I truly found happiness. And it was like what you were saying, it's that all in mentality, it's that all in, boom, we're going to go for this, and that's, and it's really trusting, kind of, it's like a trust fall, it's like, I'm going all in here. I don't know what this means for my wife, for my kids, for my family. I don't know where it's going to take us, but I do feel it on my heart that this is the right thing for me to do. And I'm really glad that you touched on that again, because it's easy to kind of, move past that, and not really kind of soak that in, because it's such an important, I mean, it's such like a pivotal moment, like you're saying, in my life, and it's something that's stuck with me. And I know that this is what I've been destined to do, and what, I should be doing. And I absolutely, like I said, I absolutely love my recovery. I love being a sober man. I love being a sober dad, sober, husband. And I am so grateful that, I can be present in my life today the way I am. And just being here with you, sharing our stories together. I mean, this means so much to me. I mean, and I just listening to you speak, it just opens up my heart, and it just, I connect to so many things that you're sharing. It's so funny, because we both have shared with each other that we will both be married 20 years. I'll be married 20 years this month, and you'll be married 20 years next month. So
yeah,
congrats to you too. So that in itself is
easiest thing I've ever done.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
That's what we, absolutely. Yeah.
It's amazing, though. The most amazing thing, genuinely. Right.
Yeah. And I'll say this, I mean, I have never, and not just, this isn't just because my wife is going to listen to this, but I've never been more in love with my wife today than ever. I mean, what we went through and the struggles we went through has built this beautiful relationship that we have, because we were willing to work through everything together. And it just keeps compounding on itself in a good way, and getting better and better and better. And so it's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing.
It is. I'll tell you, it's the one relationship that God said, I want the world to know, my heart for mankind, and I'm going to model that through marriage. Like, hey, when crap gets hard, just give up, throw in the towel. No, like, we're staying with it. We're staying in. Like, I mean, it's unbelievable. So congrats on 20, and and God bless your wife for walking with you through it. Right? So, Yeah. It's awesome. You also, you touched on the virtual aspect of RSSN, and again, as a coach and as a mentor figure, I'm telling you, I was a face-to-face guy. We're going to have a conversation. We're going to connect. This is going to be genuine. We're face-to-face, period. That's how it goes. I still believe that is powerful, but guess what? We almost get face-to-face in the virtual place. I mean, it works quite well. I didn't think it would, but what I have learned in coaching individuals around the country, when people are in their home, when they're in their environment, their safe place, wherever that place is, and they connect, their willingness to get vulnerable, I think, increases. I got to find the number. It increases x-fold, right? I mean, you know that you can talk. Look at me. I'm the only guy in the building right now. I can say anything that I want. It's like I'm comfortable, so it works if we work it well. And I think that's the power that something like a remote support network does. It allows people to be in their environment, whether you're in your car and you're calling into a meeting. I've been there a lot in the last couple of days, particularly, right? Call in from anywhere, jump online, get virtual, and but make sure that we're locked in. It's easy, and I can do this too. You turn the camera off and you put an AirPod in, and you drive and you do the thing. I'm chasing pigs yesterday, right? I'm a farmer, as well as a life coach. Unloading hogs, and I'm like, I got my AirPods in, I'm running the field, walking my dog. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm here. And then I'm walking into McDonald's to get a coffee, and you guys are so gracious. You're like, your camera's off. Are you still present? No, I'm here. So I love it. I mean, it doesn't require me to put everything on hold out of respect for those online. I should be a little more attentive than just running the day. But it is a powerful vehicle to connect. I'm thankful to know that you guys are doing this virtually. And I've seen a lot of people lean in. I've seen a lot of great connection. And you teased on the Slack channel, right? I mean, that is an online platform that coaches and clients alike are pouring into. And I love each of the different channels are set up so we can share, a book that's hit us lately, and we can kind of tease and advertise a book that we think is phenomenal. There's a general chat. People are checking in on the workouts. You're leading the pack. I mean, you're like, hey, time to get your workout in, get some burpees in, and get my push-up on. I mean, you guys are modeling quite well in that department. I want to commend you for it. But I love it. I love the communication that is enabled there. There's been some resource sharing that's phenomenal. You get a coach like Mary on the family support, and she's like, we're going to talk about emotions, and I've got some resources that'll knock your socks off. Why don't you go study them for a little bit? Like, they're leaning in, and I think that the room is causing us to sharpen up a little bit. And so I appreciate the proximity that lends. I think the strength of relationship is forged in that place as well. I didn't think it would happen in a social setting like that, like a techie setting. But it can work well if you're willing to go in and work it. So it's good.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I agree. I felt the same way. I didn't see how that was gonna kind of blend in with my recovery, but it has. And we have the meetings and the 5 daily meetings on the sober side. We also have the 2 daily meetings on the family support side, which are amazing with our family coaches. And then we also have the one-on-one coaching that we offer, and the Slack online community. And I have to say that the whole idea kind of wrapped around that is that, that you're never alone. You're never alone. You're always connected to your recovery. And whether you want it or not, those notifications are going off. People are sharing, things about their lives and things that are going on. And we get to always be connected in that way. And that's the whole idea. And, we really want to provide that support for someone who needs it, and someone who's, either, has long-term recovery or short-term recovery, but we're all there together as a family. I mean, we've become, a family to each other. And even just being on this podcast with you, I kind of sit back a little bit and I think, gosh, I already feel so close to Tobe. It's so great. I mean, I just and it's only been a short while, but we're so involved in each other's lives in such a positive way. And I really have enjoyed, just getting to know you, getting to see pictures of your family and what you're doing with your family and your kids. And we also get to just, be honest about like struggles that we're going through with our kids and things that just real life issues, that come up. Yeah. And I think that's amazing. And, lately, this disease is deadly. There's been one coach whose brother passed away, and it was just absolutely heartbreaking, from an overdose. And then one of my dear friends and brothers in recovery from our program, he passed away just recently from a drug overdose. And you just, this is very real. And, there are people out there that need help. They're alone. They need help. And we just really want to make it clear that we are here for them. And we want to make it very accessible and easy to, be a part of this and know that there is a very strong support system just waiting for someone if they want to jump on. And I know that one of my biggest issues before I got sober is that I was lonely. I was alone. I didn't know, I had no direction in my life, and I needed, good people to be around me. And that's what we're providing here. And it just keeps getting stronger and stronger. And I'm just so grateful that you're a part of it, and that you get to participate in what we're doing, and we get to do this together.
Same. Thank you. Yeah. And I do want to plug this too, with you. As environment matters, right? Especially if you're struggling, like if you're in an environment that is not contributing to your sober living, change the environment. change the environment. Somebody, you know, I've got friends who I know are struggling and they're not willing to do anything different. They're going to ride the struggle bus for a while. Sometimes you need to seek, you know, some intervention. Sometimes you need to, you know, once you detox, you need to get into a clean living space. I know you guys have, you know, contacts and even the ranch, you know, that you guys run out west. And, but as I'm understanding it, right, I mean, this network here, not only for those who are in the throes of, you know, the garbage of life, if you will, but for those who are turning that corner and they need that constant, the accountability, they need the encouragement, they need the platform of, I'd say brothers and sisters who are going to walk next to them, you know, give them crap when you need to give them crap and lift them up when you need to lift them up. I think that's happening well. So it's been good to be a part of that. And again, thank you for creating, right? I mean, creating this thing, getting it off the ground. It's a lift. And I know you guys have been working hard at it. So thanks for doing it.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, Toby. And one thing I wanted to mention too before we close is that for one, I always have to be growing in my recovery, in the direction I'm moving in. I know that I need to be humble and I need to be teachable, and that is so important to me. And one of the things that lately I've been opening my heart to and kind of my beliefs in recovery is that everyone has a different journey, a different path, you know, and I know what got me sober and I know what I believe in, but I also know that, you know, everyone has their own journey. And I just want to make it clear that RSSN, the Remote Sober Support Network, is inclusive. You know, it's inclusive. We are open. We know that, you know, everyone is at a different, you know, level of their recovery, or at least striving to like make their life better because they're going through their struggles. And we just want you to know that we're understanding of that and that we want to help in any way we can, and that we're not judgmental. We are not judgmental, and we really want you to know that we are here for you wherever you may be, whatever you're going through. You know, there is someone that can help you here, and you are more than welcome to be here, and no one's going to judge you here. So I think that's really, really important to make clear, because I just think that's you know, you need to feel like you're invited in somewhere and that you're going to be welcomed in with open arms.
For sure. Well said. Well said.
But yeah, that wraps it up. Toby, we did it.
We did it.
Thanks for being here. Thanks for taking the time out of your day. And, you know, I really appreciate you being here. And I actually got so much out of just listening to you and being in here with you and being a part of this with you. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Daniel. Keep it up, man. We need it. Thank you.
All right.
Take care.